Life's kinda funny sometimes. I leave for 2 whole years from scripted videos and everything happens in between. I've actually wanted to make this video earlier than right now, but I at least wanted to wait for the Switch 2 to get revealed first, just in case if it had anything. Unfortunately, I got mogged by college in between then, so I'm only making this video now. And I'm sure glad I did. Because in between when I wanted to make it and when this is actually coming out, we got an exciting yet surprisingly disappointing Switch 2 reveal. The biggest game of all time got delayed out of this year. The most hyped independent game of all time might actually be coming this year. And 2 games that I was excited for but hadn't considered shot so far beyond my expectations that it's making the idea of predicting the Game Awards this early sound like a stupid fucking idea. So let's do it. To be clear, this video is not just gonna be for Game of the Year. This will be for every relevant category worth predicting this early. I'm doing this so that way I can talk about the games that are probably going to be eligible, so that way when I get to Game of the Year at the end, it'll be way more understandable why I pick what I do, so I hopefully don't have to explain it that much. However, I'm not going to do all the categories. I have some blind spots and there are some that I just can't predict, like innovation and accessibility, best mobile game, the esports categories, most anticipated. I don't think I'm going to be going over those. It just, it doesn't feel right. It doesn't feel right to do it this early. So, 2 notes I have before I continue. First of all, yes, I am fully aware that a game that hasn't even been revealed yet could be revealed at the Summer Games Fest and slide into the top 6. I'm aware of that, and the fact that this happened exactly 2 years in a row means that I'm prepared for it. I will resign myself to this possibility, and you can laugh at me in a year when that happens. And second of all, I hope you know that unlike most times that I do this, the margins for getting into and out of any category this year are razor thin. There are so many massive genre-defining games coming this year that we know about. So if a game doesn't make it in any of my categories, that doesn't mean I'm shitting on it or I don't think it'll be good. It's just super thin to get in there. It just might not be top 5 level. There will be a lot of predicting the quality of games that aren't out yet in this video, so be prepared for that as well. Without any further preamble, here are my comically early predictions for the 2025 Game Awards. I think the best place to start is with the genre categories. These categories are not all genres, but it's games awarded by classification. I think it's best to start here so we can narrow down what games I even think are in the running. So let's go bottom up here. For best action game, I have Borderlands 4, Doom the Dark Ages, Lost Soul Aside, Ninja Gaiden 4, and Phantom Blade Zero nominated. Generally speaking, the confusion between the action and adventure categories can be explained by the fact that if it's an action shooter or a character action game, then it goes here. If it has any level of exploration or puzzles as a priority, then it probably is in the adventure category and not here. So, what about the games that I picked? Honestly, I don't think Borderlands 4 is that interesting to me at all. I played 2 and 3, and I think the direction the series has gone in the past few years is pretty unappealing. However, most people love them some Borderlands, and even 3 got nominated 6 years ago. So I don't see why it can't get in now, unless it's just ass, and if that's the case, then who knows. Ninja Gaiden 4 and Phantom Blade Zero are games that carry on a very similar loop based on what we've seen of them, and it's possible that maybe one gets in, but not the other. But for now, I can see both of them ending up here. Ninja Gaiden 4 is a really big revival for a very well-regarded legacy series, so I can definitely tell that it will show up here if the game is good enough. Maybe it'll get pushed off because Platinum Games hasn't had a straight-up, no asterisk great game since Astral Chain, and their future is seeming more and more uncertain, but I think that they can still clutch this one. Phantom Blade Zero and Lost Soul aside have been in the hype cycle for a while, and the slow realization that the game plays exactly as good as it looks makes this a super strong pick for the category. It might be a little iffy because it has been so long, especially for Lost Soul aside, so it could be a bit of a disappointment, but I'm fairly confident in both of these. The one that I know for a fact will be here though is Doom the Dark Ages. I am writing this before reviews go live because frankly, I don't need to see it. It will be here. It's Doom. Of course it will. It's probably going to win. This game would have to be an Olympic level fumble for this not to happen. So these are the 5 that I have here. And in terms of backup games that are currently announced that could sneak in, my mind is going to Marathon, Ninja Gaiden Ragebound, and Hyrule Warriors Age of Imprisonment. But for various reasons, I'm not nearly as confident about these ones as the ones that I did put in the top 5. For Best Action Adventure Game, the games that I have nominated are Death Stranding 2 On the Beach, Ghost of Yotei, Hollow Knight Silksong, Metroid Prime 4 Beyond, and Split Fiction. So, this is where we're starting to see a bunch of Game of the Year contending games. Not that Doom isn't one, but this is where the bulk of them end up being. I think the closest thing we have to a frontrunner for any category this year so far is Death Stranding 2. It's a sequel to a super popular game by the most well-known director currently working in video games. It's one of the most anticipated games currently remaining this year. And we don't even have to wait too long to know if this is true. Admittedly, the response to Death Stranding was fairly tepid at launch, but even still it got nominated. It was looking to win for a while despite its tepid reception. And this game does look like a notable step up in basically every way compared to the first game. So I can see it definitely being here. A game that I think might not be a notable step up from the first game, but that I still think is going to show up, is Ghost of Yotei. Ghost of Yotei, based on whatever gameplay we have, it kinda just looks like Tsushima again. They're touting that it's a more open game than Tsushima, so maybe it'll be better, but who knows. I think it just being Tsushima again would be enough for it to get here because it's a massive game. Lots of people really like Tsushima. I really like Tsushima even though it didn't break any new ground. It's kind of just Japanese Assassin's Creed before Japanese Assassin's Creed. So, ultimately, I think it will get in here. Again, unless it's a fumble. I don't think it will, but who knows. Hollow Knight Silksong is the most anticipated indie game ever, probably, definitely. The first game got bitched at the Game Awards. It was up for one single category, and it didn't even win that. So I think the combination of wanting to give a game that has gone on so far since then its flowers, and the fact that Silksong is the most anticipated indie game ever, as well as the fact that the people who've played Silksong say it's better than the first game somehow? It's pretty tough for me to not see this game here considering how big it is. It'll certainly be one of the biggest releases this year. The only thing that I'm worried about with this prediction is that it doesn't release this year. If it releases this year, then it's getting in here. Another game that I think that has been around for a while that everyone is saying is really, really good is Metroid Prime 4 Beyond. Metroid is a massive critical darling series. Dread got up for Game of the Year, the Prime Trilogy are all received very, very well, and the game looks stunning. I've actually gotten to play the opening section of this game at the Switch 2 event. The hype is real. It's a big-ass game. It's a great-ass game. I cannot wait to play it, assuming that it doesn't launch next to Silksong, because if it does, then I'm sorry, Metroid. Now, this 5th slot, I'm going with Split Fiction because it's out. I played Split Fiction already. I know that it's very good. It's a very, very great game with some excellent level design, and I think that it does deserve to be in here. It's one of the highest rated games of the year already, so I can absolutely see it showing up here by the end. So this is the top 5. The margins are razor thin here, so if there's any game that I think could get in, but I don't think it is yet, we'll just have to see. It's Donkey Kong Bonanza. It's assumingly by the Mario Odyssey team, and I think that it's running in contention with Prime 4 and Split Fiction, but if the game does end up being as good as Mario Odyssey, then it's a lock. Then it's easy. I just think that the 5 I have now are the safest bets as of right now, but we'll see where this goes. Best role-playing game. For this category, I have Clair Obscur Expedition 33, Elden Ring Night Rain, Kingdom Come Deliverance 2, Monster Hunter Wilds, and The Outer Worlds 2. The current highest rated game of the year is Expedition 33. I finished it a few days ago, but Jesus Christ, that's a good-ass game. It's seemingly taking the metaphor spot of being the turn-based RPG that gets massive critical attention this year, so I can see it winning, honestly, depending on what else is here. Elden Ring Night Rain, I'm gonna be real, I know this is a spoiler, I don't think Night Rain is gonna be up for very much more beyond this. It's weird saying that a FromSoft game might underperform here, but Night Rain being a multiplayer-focused, smaller-budget game, I could see it not performing as well as Elden Ring. I can see that. But it'll still be good because it is from software, so it will still be here. It might even be a frontrunner, but based on the reactions to the beta, I'm not so sure. Kingdom Come Deliverance 2 is another game that's out, but I haven't actually checked this one out. But lots of people love it and call it a masterpiece. I'd say it's a lock for this category. I can't imagine much else dethroning it. Another game that I can see as being a lock for this category is Monster Hunter Wilds. It's a massively successful game, selling lots of copies, lots of people love it, it was critically acclaimed, even if the response was a bit more mixed than Monster Hunter World, I think that it'll absolutely be here. And as for this 5th slot, it kinda has to be Outer Worlds 2. If it's not Outer Worlds 2, then we're kind of in trouble. As the 2 games that I think could be in here that are backups are Avowed and Legends ZA, so we're kind of in trouble here. For Best Fighting Game, the nominations I have are 2XKO, I think is how you pronounce it, Bleach Rebirth of Souls, Capcom Fighting Collection 2, Fatal Fury City of the Wolves, and Hunter x Hunter Nen Impact. These are the 5 fighting games releasing this year. That's it. There's no backup. These are the 5 fighting games this year. There's literally nothing else. Bleach wasn't even received all that well, and I think it's gonna be here because there just legitimately isn't anything else it could be. The only 2 games here that I could see reasonably winning are 2XKO and Fatal Fury has Salvatore Ganacci in it. So we're kind of like scraping the bottom of the barrel here. For Best Family Game, I have Donkey Kong Bonanza, Dragon Drive, Kirby Air Riders, Mario Kart World, and Sonic Racing Cross Worlds. Now, a bunch of these are just Switch 2 games that I know are releasing. I've played all of these games besides Kirby, and I can say that these could be here. Dragon Drive is a pretty bad game though, based on what I've played, so I can see it being subbed in for Split Fiction, but Split Fiction, I don't even know if it will be eligible here, because it's way more difficult than It Takes Two, even though It Takes Two was here already. So if Split Fiction counts, it will replace Dragon Drive, because Dragon Drive is ass. For Best Sim Strategy Game, I have Anno 117, Civilization 7, The 100 Line Last Defense Academy, 2 Point Museum, and Wanderstop. These are seemingly the biggest strategy games launching this year. I don't really follow strategy games, so there might be more. I was looking up some stuff, and apparently Blueprints counts as a strategy game. So if it counts there, then Blueprints will get in over Anno. But I think the other 4 are pretty locked, not gonna lie. Civilization 7 had some mixed reception, but it is Civilization. 100 Line, 2 Point, and Wanderstop were all very well received though. Best Sports and Racing is arguably the most interesting it's been in years. Kirby Air Riders, Mario Kart World, Rematch, Sonic Racing Cross Worlds, and Tony Hawk Pro Skater 3+4. Now, I'ma be real, this is the most interesting this category will ever be, if this is what's gonna be here. It will also be mogged by Mario Kart World, but at least the lineup's gonna be interesting. For Best Indie Game, the games that I have right now are Blueprints, Caves of Qud, Deltarune, Hollow Knight Silksong, and Unbeatable. Now, you might raise your eyebrow, because Deltarune will not be done when it releases in June. It'll be halfway done, but it's not a finished game. Deltarune also came out years ago, so why do I have it here? Because technically, Chapter 1 and 2 are demos. The full release of Deltarune happening this June is the release of the game Deltarune, with a proper media screening, proper press and everything, reviews. It's basically going to be the release of the game. So, if it is recognized by that, then it'll be here because it is Deltarune. I don't know if they're going to wait until Deltarune is finished, or if they're going to wait for it to fully release it this year, so I'm willing to bet on this. Caves of Qud was a super well-received game that came out in December. It had 92s and shit. So I can absolutely see it sneaking its way in, based on what's here. Blueprints is currently the best indie game that currently released. It's the second highest rated game of the year on Metacritic, and it's overall a massive success. I'd be surprised if it wasn't here. Hollow Knight Silksong, it's gonna win. If it comes out, it's going to win. I'm sorry, Blueprints, it's going to win. And for this 5th slot, I'm gonna take a wild shot in the dark and go with Unbeatable. I played the demo, I played the white label demo years ago. It has so much style, the story's interesting, it looks beautiful, and I can see this being a massive hit. The reason I didn't originally have this here is because I didn't think it would get an audience, but it is published by PlayStack, which got Balatro into Game of the Year last year. So it does have that audience, I think. In terms of indie games that could also make it in, my mind is going to Witchbrook, Mixtape, and Ninja Gaiden Ragebound. There are probably some indie games coming later that I don't know about that'll be a massive hit. Now, there is one that I'd like to talk about though, Hades 2. I don't think it's dropping this year, guys. If it does, I'd be impressed, but I don't think it is. I don't think it being playable at the Switch 2 event means it's dropping this year. If it is, then I'll replace Deltarune with Hades 2, and also stuff in Action Game, but I don't think it's going to be coming out this year. Best multiplayer game, I have Elden Ring Night Rain, Mario Kart World, Marvel Rivals, Monster Hunter Wilds, and Split Fiction. I talked about a bunch of these games already, but if you don't think that Marvel Rivals will be up for best multiplayer game, then I legitimately do not know what to say. It's the biggest multiplayer game launch in a long time, and it's still going strong right now. It will. If there's any games that have as backup, probably Marathon and Sonic Racing Crossworlds. Sonic Racing could get in, but Marathon I'm a bit more mixed about. The people who played it said it was okay, but it is Bungie. Maybe they can clutch this one. And that's the end of our genre/categorization categories, so I think you can see what games are on the table here. So that way when I get into specific awards, you won't be nearly as surprised. Okay, now that we have our games on the table through the genre categories, let's go bottom up through the biggest awards of the night, and I can explain why I'm leaning the way that I'm leaning. Let's start off with Best Audio Design. My mind here is going Death Stranding 2 on the Beach, Doom the Dark Ages, Ghost of Yotei, Kingdom Come Deliverance 2, and Metroid Prime 4 Beyond. Now, of these, the one that I'm the most confident in is Death Stranding 2. Death Stranding's audio design was excellent, and it seems like this one will be a massive step up. Doom the Dark Ages seems like it'll have great sound design because of how intense everything will feel. Ghost of Yotei and Kingdom Come Deliverance 2 will probably have really good sound design due to their environment and their immersion, the action that they have. Kingdom Comes I heard was very good, even though I haven't checked it out yet. Maybe I will. It's very long. Another game that is known for having really good immersion is Metroid. So I think Prime 4's audio design, especially partially because of the added rumble for the Switch 2, I think will be good enough to get in. In terms of backup games, my mind is heading to The Outer Worlds 2 and Chronos The New Dawn, which I haven't actually talked about yet, but it is a horror game by Bloober Team. I do not really like Bloober Team, but if they can manage a good game, it'll probably be up for audio design, because horror game audio design is generally very well received. Next up is Best Narrative. The games that I currently have here are Clair Obscur Expedition 33, Death Stranding 2 On the Beach, Ghost of Yotei, Kingdom Come Deliverance 2, and The Outer Worlds 2. Expedition 33 and Death Stranding 2 are kinda locked. Expedition 33 is out, so I know people will love its story, and Death Stranding 2 will be here. If you think for a second that it won't, calm down. Let's be real here. Ghost of Yotei is one that I think could be here. The game has a more open structure than the first game, so it might cause a bit of roughness there, but I think that it'll still be very well received considering the response to the first game. Kingdom Come Deliverance 2 has the longest script in any video game, and every review I see for it praises its story, so it's also a lock. As for other stuff, I'm kinda torn between Outer Worlds 2 and South of Midnight, but I'm going to go with Outer Worlds 2 for now, simply because South of Midnight, despite the massive amount of praise for its story, wasn't received as well as any other game that is out that we're going to be talking about. Next up is Best Score and Music. My mind here is leaning towards Clair Obscur Expedition 33, Death Stranding 2 On the Beach, Doom the Dark Ages, Hollow Knight Silksong, and Metroid Prime 4 Beyond. Now, there's a couple of these that I have bases for. Expedition 33's out. If it does not get in score and music, then I will question the quality of this show's category, because that's one of the best soundtracks I've heard in a really long time. It's excellent. It starts at a 9 and only gets better throughout the game. It's incredible. Everyone's been praising it. There's also a couple games where we heard some of the music. Death Stranding 2 is definitely gonna get in. I think that its frontrunner status, plus the fact that the first game won score and music, means that it'll likely have a similar vibe, so it'll definitely be praised in this regard. Hollow Knight Silksong, we have 2 tracks already. The original game's soundtrack has grown to be one of the most widely praised in recent memory, and this time, Christopher Larkin can work with a live orchestra instead of a really good copy of Pro Tools, which means that the music will be a lot better. Which is funny, because it's already one of my favorite game soundtracks. Both of the tracks they previewed are excellent, so I cannot wait to hear the rest of it. Metroid Prime 4, we have 1 song for released. I think that it'll certainly be well received. Metroid Prime is very well regarded for its music, and I think that what we heard so far is in line with the quality of the previous games. So it's going to be ascendant. And lastly, Doom the Dark Ages. It's Doom. I know that this one doesn't have Mick Gordon, but it's Doom music. They can't really fuck up Doom music. Hello from the future, everyone. I'm coming in to talk about Doom in this category because somehow they fucked it up. I don't think it's up for music anymore. I'm gonna replace it with Mario Kart until further notice. Jesus Christ. In terms of other games I could consider for this spot, some ones that stand out are Mario Kart World, Unbeatable, and South of Midnight. Next up is Best Art Direction. The games that I have here are Clair Obscur Expedition 33, Death Stranding 2, Hollow Knight Silksong, Metroid Prime 4 Beyond, and South of Midnight. Expedition 33 is a gorgeous-ass game, as is South of Midnight. I know I just denied South of Midnight narrative because it's not a well-received game, but I think even the people who don't like South of Midnight can't deny how good-looking of a game it is. Look at the gameplay on screen and tell me that it does not deserve art direction right now. I dare you. Hollow Knight Silksong is here for similar reasons that it's up for score, which is that it seems to be a solid upgrade over the first game, and they might want to receive this game better because they didn't do shit for the first game. It looks beautiful, I love all the new character designs, it's great. Metroid Prime 4 also looks very interesting direction-wise, and I think that it might have an extra leg up because it's a Nintendo game that looks as good as games from other systems. So combining the quality of its graphics as a Nintendo game with the cool art direction that Metroid already has will give it an edge here. There's a lot of games I could consider for this, like Donkey Kong, Ghosts of Yotei. The Midnight Walk is releasing in a few days, and that's like a stop-motion type game. So I think that there are options here. This isn't the most set in stone, but I'm fairly confident in these. Alright, we're getting there. Let's go through it. Best game direction. The 5 games I have nominated are Expedition 33, Death Stranding 2 on the Beach, Hollow Knight Silksong, Metroid Prime 4 Beyond, and Split Fiction. So, Expedition 33 and Split Fiction are out. We can say for sure that these will probably be here because they're massively well-received games that we already know about. Split Fiction especially feels like it's made for this category. Death Stranding 2 will be here because it's still a fairly unique game. Even though Death Stranding 1 came out 6 years ago, no one else is really doing this, and I think the improvements that it'll make over the first game are enough to catapult it here. Hollow Knight Silksong and Metroid Prime 4 I'm a bit more iffy on, simply because this is the part where anything can take anything. Donkey Kong can take this, Ghost of Yotei can take this, Monster Hunter Wilds can take this. I'm just super confident in Silksong. Prime 4 is a maybe. Even the people who are super excited for the game, some of them can say, look, it's Metroid Prime, I played this already. But to be fair, you could probably say the same thing for Ghost of Yotei, so who knows. Monster Hunter Wilds and Donkey Kong Bonanza feel like stuff that could sneak in if they're good enough. I can absolutely see them being here. But I think my current selection is the stuff that I'm most confident in currently. And based on the trends that you can see throughout this video, I'm sure you can guess what I have up for Game of the Year. If you can't, I'll help you out a little. Expedition 33, Death Stranding 2 on the Beach, Ghost of Yotei, Hollow Knight Silksong, Metroid Prime 4 Beyond, and Split Fiction. Now, most of the games I talked about already, you can understand why they're there. It's mostly cuts that I'll have to explain. Doom the Dark Ages looks like a very, very good game, but the margins are so thin here, and they already nominated Eternal and 2016, so they might just be like, look, it's very good, but it's Doom. We already know Doom, we already have Doom, we've already played Doom. Not only that, but even the positive previews that I've seen so far for Doom the Dark Ages have some mixed reservations. I think that's enough to put it, like, if it was like a top 8, then maybe. Monster Hunter Wilds is there for a similar reason. Monster Hunter Wilds has had some generally mixed responses, not only because of the game's technical state, but also because of the fact that a lot of people don't like how sanded off some of the edges of the game are, and they also don't like the fact that the story is fucking terrible, and that was enough to catapult Rise out of Game of the Year in 2021. The next two that I have as backups are ones that I could easily see subbing out some of these. Donkey Kong Bonanza and Kingdom Come Deliverance 2. Kingdom Come Deliverance 2 is out, it already has its 90, but that doesn't mean I'm gonna put it in Game of the Year immediately. There are so many games that I think are gonna break 90 that having a 90 is not enough to be in Game of the Year in my opinion. I think that if there's anything that they would want to make sure would get in, Kingdom Come Deliverance 2 might not be one of their priorities. Also, since it came out so unbelievably early, and it doesn't have any mind-blowing moments like Split Fiction does as far as I can tell, I think that it'll just barely miss it. Though maybe it's just my bias because I haven't played the game. Donkey Kong Bonanza also has a bit of reservations, mostly because the frame rate is a little iffy, but that's not nearly enough. Breath of the Wild's frame rate was iffy. Donkey Kong Bonanza looks like a really fun game. If it's as good as Mario Odyssey or just any good 3D Mario, I could see it subbing out Prime 4 or Silk Song, or especially Yote. If there's any game that I would cut from my Game of the Year lineup to replace with something else first, it's probably Yote, because Ghost of Tsushima was not a very innovative game, and this is kind of just looking like that again, so I can see Ghost of Yote kind of slipping out, even though its release timing is perfect for it to get the attention that it needs. So, that's Game of the Year. Please feel free to laugh at me in 6 months when I get this wrong. It will be very funny when you do that. Before I leave, there's a couple smaller ancillary categories that I could also talk about fairly briefly. Best Adaptation: a Minecraft movie, Devil May Cry, The Last of Us Season 2, Secret Level, and Sonic 3. By the end of June, I think all of these would have been out, and I don't think anything else is beating it. Mortal Kombat 2 is a maybe. Until Dawn was terrible, but not even like Minecraft movie bad, where it was bad but successful. No one likes Until Dawn. And if you think that FNAF 2 is being in here, then calm down. So yeah, those are my predictions for the Game Awards 2025 in early May. Let's see how wrong I am.